Okay, I think most of the like attendees might be aware regarding this group. By the way, I'm the admin of this group, Cisco Network Live Issues, and most of the time we talk to each other over the chat or over the different posts, discussions, what we do on daily basis. But I think this is the time when we are actually listening to each other, and uh, hopefully, we will have a lot of discussion today. We will make it fruitful. It should be a two-way communication. I mean, please do not consider this as a like one-way communication or any uh, like only one demo session is going on or something like this. There are a lot of queries I can see already asked by different attendees, which is something good. I appreciate that. So please keep your questions ready, and prior to initiating the demo, we'll be talking a little bit about how we are planning the things. And these days, we are getting a lot of posts related to job openings as well. So I would say, help each other. In case you have openings in your organization, you can post in the group. And apart from this, I would say to apply for any of the job or to get any of the like good offer letter from our organization, please focus on your core technologies. Core technologies in the sense, like most of the people have experience in routing and switching, which is considered as a like basic in terms of networking domain. But after that, my suggestion would be to go for different technologies. Firstly, I'm talking about technologies. After routing and switching, next priority should be the security domain, which is the most common and most demanded technologies in the like current industry. So focus on the routing switching, which is the basic part. Most of you are already doing that, and with the experience, the things will keep on advancing. After that, the second priority should be the security domain, and then you can go for the load balancer, automation, wireless. There are multiple things, so you can prioritize accordingly. And if you talk about one particular technology, let's say I'm talking about security, again, there are multiple vendors. We have Cisco, we have Palo Alto, we have Checkpoint. So in these kind of options, which might confuse you, always focus on the like market leaders. Because within very short span or with very less experience, like in initial years, it is not possible to learn almost everything. Like within security, if you plan to learn everything like Checkpoint, Palo Alto, Fortinet, Cisco ASA, and in load balancer also, like there are multiple vendors. So it would not be possible. So prioritize like this, that, okay, this technology I need to focus upon. And within technology, this particular vendor, which is the market leader, I will be focusing upon. So within security, I would say, you must be aware as per the like different reports available on the Google as well, that Palo Alto is the market leader. So in case you are planning to proceed in the security domain, then go with the Palo Alto. And once you have more experience, then you can look into more different vendors as well. Let's say the second priority can be the Checkpoint. A third can be the Cisco ASA. So you can plan accordingly. So this would be suggestion from my side. Apart from this, let me share a few more things. Okay, I'll be talking a little bit about how things are going on, or like how communication happened between us and the Skilled Inspirational Academy. So we were being approached by like different training centers, as you might be aware. Like we have n number of options in the market available, which is true. And after that, what we do, we go for like more discussions, more round of discussions with different training centers, how you are going to proceed and what kind of training content you are going to cover, and are they actually delivering what is expected to be. So we had multiple rounds of discussion with the Skilled Inspirational Academy, and once we felt satisfied that okay, this content is actually going to help everyone which is in the IT industry, or which is planning to enter into the security domain. So then we decided, let's integrate with the Skilled Inspirational Academy and proceed with the Palo Alto, like which is the market leader. So that would be a good start. So what we are planning to, there are like 3 to 4 major things in any of the training where you should focus upon. The first thing is the foundation concept, the theory or the technology, how things are working in any of the domain. So that you should understand, that is absolutely important. This is like base of any of the training. So that part should be clear. After that, the second part is also equally important, how things are happening in the production environment. I'll talk a little bit more about the second part because we also conduct a lot of interviews these days. So we get like a lot of resumes where students are very good, or you can say the candidates are very good in the technology concepts. But when it comes to any of the real-time scenarios to discuss about how things are working, and in case something goes bad in the real-time environment, how you are going to handle. So there, I think lot of candidates are having gap in that particular part. So we have requested Skilled Inspirational Academy on this one, that focus on the production environment also, like cover few scenarios where everybody can understand, okay, this is the technology, this is how it is implemented, so that the bridge between these two segments should be filled. There should not be a gap, or there should not be a disconnect between these two things, right? Because until and unless you can understand anything in the production environment or real-time environment, the technology will not be fruitful. You can learn and spend n number of hours, but until and unless you don't understand how things are happening, how fast you react, how you interpret the network, that is not going to be fruitful. So focus on these two things absolutely, I mean, with equal importance. One is the foundation concept. The second is the production environment, how things are working. And if you talk about our trainers, they have experience of 9+ years. And you can understand when I say 9 years or 10 years, these figures are actually justifying a lot of things, because trainers have already worked in a number of organizations. And when you move from one network to another network, or one organization to another organization, lot of things changes in terms of network. The setup will be different, the challenges will be different, and the way different technologies are deployed in data center and in like different sites which are connecting to the data center, so that will be different. So you can understand what kind of experience or what kind of like download you are going to get. Apart from this, another thing is to understand the systematic approach. Let me talk a little bit about technical, although I'm not meant to discuss anything technical today. Whenever any issue comes in the network, it could be routing, switching, security, or anything else, we always start with the basic, right? Like you should be having the source, you should be having the destination, then path should be clear based on the trace from source to destination, and the ports which are going to be utilized by the application. So this is like systematic approach. And in your team, like in your current organization also, you will see that few team members have very good approach in troubleshooting or understanding anything. So that systematic approach can come based on the experience. And once trainers have the experience, like how they are handling the things in the real-time environment, they can download the same approach to the peers as well, to the candidates as well. So always have systematic approach. When someone says, okay, this is a problem like users are facing or any particular site is facing, always have some plan in your mind. Like, okay, these are the 4 things initially I'm looking for, and I will go step by step. Do not start randomly, because I have seen that few of the candidates have very good approach. They start to the point, they ask very valid questions, and then troubleshoot step by step. Okay, this could be the problem. If this is fine, next, this could be the problem. And few candidates, I mean, I won't say they are not technically good. They are good, but systematic approach is missing. They will troubleshoot anything like out of the box, like one particular segment they will pick up and they will start focusing on that. So always have that approach, and that is going to be covered in this particular training session. Apart from this, I think we have already talked about the market demand. It is very clear that security domain is in demand, and within security domain, if I have to choose one vendor, the first choice will always be the Palo Alto. So you can refer to the Naukri.com, and there are multiple portals where easily you can find out based on the keywords that, okay, there are a lot of jobs available in the market. Apart from this, the most important part is the interview preparation. So you can spend n number of hours in your studies, self-study, training, everything like practicing labs. But until and unless this last part is successful, uh, I mean, obviously you will not be happy till that time. So that interview preparation is the most important part, which we have already discussed with the academy, that how you are going to handle this. So I got very good response on this one, that candidates will have the lifetime interview support. Let's say you are doing the training today, and after 1 month you have the interview, then you might need to brush up something, or you might have some sort of doubts. So that kind of support the academy is planning to. Apart from this, you will have the mock interviews conducted, because I mean, trainers already knows, they are taking the interviews in their respected organization, that what kind of questions or areas should be focused upon to assess any of the candidate. So mock interviews, this is going to help you a lot. And apart from this, the interview support. So I mean, personally, my favorite is the second part, that lifetime interview support, because you might need support after some time as well. So that also will be provided by the academy. So this is the like overview how things are going to be planned and what we are thinking of to include in the training. So like, again, just summarizing everything, going to focus on the real-time environment, the foundation concept should be strong, labs are going to be covered, and the most important part is the interview support. So once you are done with everything, and we will feel confident about the candidates, and candidates will also be confident that, okay, now they can crack anything. So then I think things will be good and it will move in a positive direction. All right, so this was all from my side. Over to you, Vidit. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So everyone, now I'm going with the demo, guys. So what I will do, I'll put everyone on a mute first. I'll complete the demo, and after that, end of the session, I'll take the question and answers. Okay. Okay, guys. So let me share my screen first.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So guys, these are the two topics which I will discuss today. First, I will tell you what kind of lab topology I will use throughout the session. And after that, we will go with the packet flow of Palo Alto. Because guys, I have seen like in the market, in the YouTube, or in the basically in Google as well, you don't find this particular packet flow, or we can say proper diagram of this packet flow. Palo Alto have introduced one packet flow diagram around 10 years back in 2010, right? And they have not released updated packet flow diagram. Okay, so I will cover that particular updated packet flow diagram, how Palo Alto process the packets, how it will process the SYN packet, all these kind of things we will basically see. Okay, so first I will guys explain you what are the course content I'm gonna cover here. So let me just move towards the course content. Okay, so guys, this is my course content. So first I will basically cover your platform and architecture, where we will see all kind of Palo Alto hardware models and VM series firewalls. Like Palo Alto, we are having Palo Alto 200 series, then we are having Palo Alto 800 series, then we are having Palo Alto 3200 series. In between 800 and 3200 series, we are also having Palo Alto 200 series and 2000 series and 3000 series, right? And after it, we are having Palo Alto 5200 series, right? Between this series, we also have one old series which is PA 5000 series. And I will also tell you Palo Alto 7000 series. So these are the some hard platform basically, which is physical models. And basically VM firewalls, we have like VM 50, then we are having VM 100, then we are having VM 300, right? And for different We can see cloud environments like for AWS, for Azure, for GCP, for VMware, right? Palo Alto have developed these particular VM series. So I will go with them as well. Okay. And after that, I will go with the single pass architecture, because it's a very strong features of Palo Alto, we can say. And Palo Alto use this term, which is SP3, when they will basically sell their product. So I will tell you the actual definition of this SP3, how this particular engine works. Okay. And after it, I'll go with the flow logic again. So today also I will discuss the packet flow. Then again, we will go in with the flow logic in your classes. Then I'll go with the initial configuration, like how we can configure the management interface related settings like IP address, net mask, default gateway, DNS settings, NTP settings, domain name by using CLI, by using graphical user interface. After that, we will see how we can configure this management interface. I will also explain you the how we can do the licensing of this particular firewall, how to configure these software updates, what are the basically best practice to do these activities. Okay, I'll tell you how these things works in the production environment. And after that, I'll move forward towards your account administration, where we will see how we can create different types of account as per the privilege level. Let's suppose we are having L1 engineers, L2 engineers, L3 engineers, guest engineers, how we can assign different kind of roles, how we can customize the access of our device by using this account administration. When we complete this thing, after it, I'll move forward towards your interface related configuration. So we will see how we can create zones, how we can basically configure the IP address on these interfaces, what is your layer 2 deployment, what is layer 3 deployment, what is vWire deployment. All these kind of deployment basically we will cover with the practical. What is there is a one more deployment is there, which is tap mode deployment, right? All these things I will cover. I will also tell you how DSCP works actually in Palo Alto, how we can configure Palo Alto as a DSCP client, as a DSCP server, as a DSCP relay agent. Then I'll go with the virtual routers. What is virtual router? How we can allow the multi-VR communication. So multi-virtual router communication, all these things I will basically cover here. And this thing we will cover by our labs, guys, okay? Then I'll just move towards your network security, net security and your network address translation. Because if I'll talk about any firewall, like these firewall basically designed for doing your writing your security policies. It is designed for doing your net. It is designed for basically doing your VPN services, and also it is designed for doing your layer 7 inspection, right? And this security policies, these are the most important features of your Palo Alto. So we will cover in details how we can create a rules, what are the different types of actions we are having into these rules. Okay, when we will complete this thing, after it, I'll just move towards your, let me just go there. So we will see basically all types of net here, like what is static net, what is dynamic net, what is destination net, different types of use cases in destination net. I'll cover all of them with practical. After it, I'll just move towards your application identification, then application app ID overview, app ID flow, how Palo Alto basically do the application identification, what are the phases, everything we will see basically in app ID. Then I will also show you how we can create application groups and filters. And after it, I'll just move towards your content ID. This content ID basically includes your antivirus, anti-spyware protection, then vulnerability protection, URL filtering. So we will see detailed overview of your all these particular features, because I will basically have one Kali Linux machine. I will launch the attack from that machine, and we will configure these profiles, these particular filters, to see how my firewall basically protecting your LAN resources from this particular attacks. So these are the live attacks which I will basically launch. After it, I'll just move towards your file blocking and wildfire, because this wildfire provides you the 0-day attack protection, or we can say it will basically protect us from the real-time attacks. So we will see how this wildfire operation works, how Palo Alto basically do the sandboxing. Okay. After it, I'll just move towards your SSL decryption, because guys, I have seen in the market, people have lots of confusion with the decryption. Someone say like Palo Alto do the proxy, it will create 2 session. All so guys, how this particular SSL decryption in actually happens, I will cover that part. Okay. So we will see how your certificate management works, what is your outbound SSL decryption, what is your inbound SSL decryption. We will have a practical labs on that, guys. I'll create a certificate as well on my Palo Alto firewall, and after that we will see how things are working. And after, I'll just move towards your user ID, where we will see how we can integrate our Palo Alto with Active Directory, with your Radius server. We can also see the user ID agent labs, where I will basically use inbuilt PAN-OS user agent, and also I will install one dedicated Palo Alto user ID agent into my one of the member server, and it will basically provide all the user details to my Palo Alto firewall. So we will see all these things in details and with the practical labs. Okay. After it, I'll just move towards your IPsec site-to-site VPN, which is also my favorite topic. And guys, here we will see, I'll give you around 11 use cases with the practical oriented things. I'll also tell you how we can troubleshoot this particular VPN related issues. I'll just log in at the daemon levels, guys. I'll explain you which daemon is responsible for entire IPsec exchange, how we can see the log file, how we can read the logs at the daemon level. So I'll tell you, like, there are around 4 daemons in Palo Alto who will responsible for this IPsec site-to-site VPN, and we will see 11 types of use cases. Like, first I'll configure VPN between Palo Alto and Palo Alto by using PD shared key. Then I will configure another by using certificates. Then we will see if there is a overlapping subnets. Then if our Palo Alto is behind the net gateway. So these kind of basically practicals are there. And I also have a, like, if we are having dual ISP setup, then how we can configure these IPsec tunnels with the failover, how we can configure VPN between Palo Alto and ASA firewall. So there are around 10 to 11 use cases, and I'll cover all of them. After it, I'll just move towards your global protect. And guys, I have seen in the market there is no good content available in good global protect, guys. No one know how basically this global protect works, how you can troubleshoot these issues, and I'll cover this thing in details. I'll go with the connection flow. I'll show you how we can basically see the internal flow, which daemons is responsible for which file, how my firewall is basically serving that this particular global protect request. So we will open each and every file, we will basically decrypt the content by using Wireshark, and we will see the flow. I'll basically open the daemon files, and we will see this particular daemon is basically having issues, how we can troubleshoot everything. I'll cover with into your global protect. And after that, I'll just move towards your management and reporting, where basically we will see how we can generate the reports and all. Okay. And after that, basically, I just explain you the dashboard related stuff. Then I'll configure the logging, how we can configure the syslog so it can send the logs to syslog. We will also see how to configure the net flow. So my firewall send the net flow traffic to basically NetFlow Analyzer, where we will see the top talkers and all. How we can configure everything, I'll cover into your logging things. Then I'll move towards your Panorama. So in Panorama, basically, I'll tell you how we can integrate firewalls with the Panorama. What is the device group? What is template? What is template stack? What is log collectors? Everything we will basically see. What is push scope, what is commit scope, everything I'll cover with your Panorama thing. Then I will be basically explaining the high availability concept in your Palo Alto, where we will see active passive high availability and active high availability. So guys, here active not mentioned, but I'll also cover active high availability with the practicals, how we can configure net, because net is a tricky things when we are having active scenario, right? What are the deployment scenario where we have to go with the active scenario? So I will cover all of them, guys. So this is your course content, okay, which I'm gonna cover in your entire series. Okay, now guys, let me quickly move towards your today topic. So first I'll explain the lab topology. Okay, so guys, I'll most of the time use the VMware workstation for performing all your labs. So what I can do, and also I will use Evengy, guys. Okay, so I will use these two softwares for doing your entire labs. Now we will help you guys in lab setup in your systems. So we will basically install the VMware workstation in your system, and where we will basically install the Palo Alto OVMAs, and also we will install the EVNG software in your system. Let's suppose some people is having, they are not having good amount of RAM in their system. In that case, I'll show you the installation in Google Cloud as well. So guys, in Google Cloud, you can create your free account, and Google give you around 3,000 INR, 23,000 INR, which you can use up to 3 months. So you can so I will just rent out one server from GCP, and I'll show you the installation of EVNG on that particular Google Cloud, so you can practice your things till 3 months. I'll show you how we can connect this particular EVNG, which is running on Google Cloud, or which is running in your basically your system with the internet and all everything. So this thing basically I'm gonna cover. Now in my lab, basically I'll put one firewall here. That firewall, I'll connect Ethernet 1/1 interface of my firewall with my home Wi-Fi, and through this home Wi-Fi I'll get the internet connection. And in outside network, I am also putting one Kali Linux machine. From this machine, I will launch the attack into these particular servers. These are the Linux servers. On these servers, I'm running different types of services, and I will just try to hack these particular services. Okay, so I will use Ethernet 1/2, 1/3 as a DMZ interface, and I'll use 10.2.2.250 this particular IP address. After that, I basically also have my inside network, where I am having one Linux machine and I'm having one Windows machine. These two machines I will use as a test servers, or we can say test machines, from which I will initiate the traffic, and I will see the traffic, how my Palo Alto is handling the traffic. I'll also connect my firewall management interface with BMNet 8. So I'll show you how we can install basically VMware, how we can create different types of NIC cards to basically configure such kind of topology. So this is the topology which I'm using in most of the labs. Apart from this topology, guys, in your BPN, I will use this particular topology. In BPN, basically, I'll use this particular topology, where I am having one Palo Alto firewall. So this is head office, this is branch office. This is my branch office 1, this is branch office 2. I am also having two ASA firewall. Let's say this is client location, and we will configure the VPN between this device and this device. And if you want to configure the VPN with net gateway, behind the net gateway, so I will configure the netting on this ASA firewall, and we will see all labs. I will also show you the large scale VPN where and how an scope kind of VPN, where I will enable the OSPF configuration between these sites, and we will see how this thing work in basically Palo Alto firewall. I will also see, I'm also having these particular ISP, so where I will show you the dual ISP kind of scenario. And I'll also show you how we can configure the VPN between Palo Alto and ASA. So this kind of basically this topology I will also use for your VPN, and you don't need to prepare these topologies. I will share these particular topologies, guys, with you. Apart from this, I will also use one more topology when I will show you the routing related practicals. Like if I want to show you the PVF policy based routing, or I want to show you the ECMP practicals, or I want to show you the dual ISP kind of practical where we will configure path monitoring and all. So I will use this particular topology during that time. Okay. Now there is a one more topology which I am gonna use in your sessions. So let me open that one. These are the topology which I will use in case of basically layer 2, layer 3 and tap mode deployment, guys. And this particular topology I will use in your HE. So I will put one firewall here, one switch here, which is outside. This switch have a connect with the internet, and one inside switch which having one host machine. And this particular topology I will use for configuring your high availability. Okay. So these are the lab topology which I'm gonna use, guys. Okay. Now apart from this, now let me guys go with the packet flow. Okay, so before going to the actual packet flow, let me show you this particular document. So if you guys open the Google and if you try to search, so Palo Alto, basically you will always able to see this particular document, right? With regards to your packet flow in Palo Alto. This document is created in 2010. So it's a pretty old diagram, guys. Okay. And there is a lots of things Palo Alto have added. So I will tell you the exact things, how things works in basically in PanOS 10. And guys, also remember, I will be doing all your practicals by using PanOS 10, and I am having my Palo Alto 5 with the license. So we can able to practice all the features. But if you guys is not having license, you can able to perform your 95% labs without license. Okay, I'll tell you the ways how you can configure these labs and all. Okay, so guys, let me just now go with your packet flows. Let me open my whiteboard. So if you see here, guys, first I will explain you the packet flow phases. So generally in Palo Alto firewall, we are having around 7 phases of packet flow. So let's suppose Palo Alto Fire receives this packet. Okay, so let's say I'm having this diagram where my firewall receive one packet into this interface. Let's take example. Right? So first my firewall process this packet into the ingress stage, guys. And after that, this particular packet go for the flow lookup. Then it will go for the silo path, which is also known as session setup stage. Then your packet go for the first path, which is security processing. Then your packet go for the app ID. Then your packet go for the content inspection, or we can say CTD or SP3 engine. And after that, your packet go for the egress stage, or we can say forward is the stage. So these are the 7 stages, guys. Now in these 7 stages, we are having multiple checks, and I'll explain each and every time. Now, guys, let me also tell you the block diagram of your Palo Alto. This is the internal architecture of Palo Alto firewall at the chip level, we can say. So guys, in Palo Alto firewall, it is having mainly 4 chips. Okay, so let's consider this is the Palo Alto interface. These interface will always have a connectivity with the chip. The name of that chip is Marvel chip. In higher end boxes, that chip name is Petra. And this Marvel is in lower end boxes like 850, or we can say 200 series, 2000 series, or 3000 series. Okay, so first chip, which is Marvel, so all interface have a connectivity with the Marvel chip. That Marvel chip have a connectivity with one of the chip which is known as Liger and Tiger chip. So Liger in basically low end boxes, and Tiger chip basically we will found in the high end boxes like 50 200 series or 7000 series. We are having Tiger chip. Okay, and that particular chip is also known as network processor. Network processor is also known as session offloader, guys. Okay, and after that, that chip have a direct connectivity with the Octeon chip, and this particular chip basically running into your DP CPU. And this particular DP CPU process your packet by according to the life of a packet. So this particular basically CPU is going to process each and every packet. Okay, after that, this particular Octeon chip have a connectivity with the Ocelot or Jaguar chip. These are the chip basically which is also known as pattern matching, or we can say signature match processor, if someone is aware about that. And these particular chip is responsible for your application identification. So application identification done by this particular chip. Okay, and also this particular chip is responsible for your CTD engine or your content identification, like your antivirus, anti-spyware, vulnerability protection, data filtering, file protection, all these kind of basically things, all these signatures running into inside this particular chip. And guys, in VM devices, we don't have this kind of architecture, because in VM basically Palo Alto have segregated the architecture at the base of software level, and in VM devices we will use DFA and AHO algorithms to basically do the pattern matching. Okay, and these chips, guys, if I'll talk about Liger and Tiger or Octeon or Jaguar, these are the basically FPGA, or we can say ASICs. This is the like internal architecture. So let me tell you, let's suppose I'm having this kind of environment. So let's suppose I have received the packet into this interval. Let's say it's a TCP SYN packet. So I have received TCP SYN packet in Ethernet 1/1 interface. Okay. After that, this particular TCP SYN packet reaches to your Marvel chip. Okay. Now Marvel chip, he will forward this particular packet to Liger or Tiger chip. Okay. Now Liger or Tiger chip forward this packet to your DP CPU. In basically DP CPU, your actual packet processing will start. Okay, because it's a TCP SYN packet, right? So this packet reaches to this particular Octeon chip. And here basically Palo Alto process the packet according to the life of the packet. So if I'll say life of the packet means your Palo Alto now process these packet against all these stages. Okay. Now let me just go with these stages. What are these stages, guys? Okay. I have created one diagram here. So let me just little bit make up this diagram. Okay. Let me also reduce little bit size. Yep, that's correct now. Okay. So guys, let's suppose my Palo Alto 5 received the packet. So what it will do? It will just put this packet into the packet ingress process. Now what it will do? When Palo Alto receive this packet, first Palo Alto going to put this particular packet into the interface buffers. It needs to save this packet somewhere, right? So it will just put this packet into the interface buffers. And after that, what it will do, it will extract your layer 2 information, layer 3 information, and layer 4 information. Layer 2 information is your source MAC, destination MAC. Layer 3 information, which is your source IP, destination IP. Layer 4 information, which is your source port and destination port. So it will extract this particular information. And what it will do, from this information, he just gets to know the ingress interface. Means he just gets to know I have received the packet in Ethernet 1/1 interface. Let's say I have received the packet on that one. So he get to know, oh, this is my ingress interface. And after it, basically from this ingress interface, Palo Alto is a zone based firewall, right? So he is also identify, oh, this is my zone. So let's suppose he received the packet in inside zone. Okay. So this is basically how your Palo Alto process the packet at the ingress level. Okay. If you want to see the details, so let me open. I have also basically captured one of the stream. So let me just open this stream, how this particular firewall going to process the packet. So if you guys see, I have just taken this particular stream from the PAN-OS diags. Okay, when we run this particular capturing and we will capture the packet, so we will see. So Palo Alto receive this packet at the ingress level. So I'll also tell you guys how we can extract this particular stream from the different connection and all, right? So what it will extract the information like this. If you see here, these are the live logs which I have taken from the live device, guys. Okay, so this is how it will process the packet. Okay, now after it, see, it will send that packet into the silo path. So before that, I'll tell you the things, and after I'll also go through with this stream. Okay, so now my Palo Alto 5 extract this information. Sometime we have received the fragmented packets, right? In that case, my firewall also perform do the IP reassembly, or we can say fragment reassembly, to create the actual packet. Okay, so it will basically perform this thing. After that, basically this particular packet go for the ingress packet error. Sometimes what happens, guys, we will receive the packet with which is having some headers errors, right? Any hacker, they can modify the headers value and all, right? So it will just check for these particular errors. Okay, if my firewall is, if my packet is having any kind of errors, what my firewall discard that packet right away. If its packet is not having any errors, in that case, after this it will just check the DOS block table, guys. So if you heard the name of zone protection profiles, right? In Palo Alto, we can say DOS protection profile. When we configure these things, if we have configured these features, if there is any IP address which is matched against these particular features, in that case, that traffic match against the DOS block table. If IP comes under this DOS block table, it will discard that packet right away, because it will consider it's some kind of DDoS attack. If this packet is not coming under this DOS block table, so after it will just send this packet for the firewall inspection. Now it will check basically, is firewall inspection applied on this traffic? If yes, then it will basically check this packet for the IPsec or SSL VPN, or we can say if we are receiving that traffic for the GRE tunnels, right? So now what it will do, it will check for IPsec traffic, SHS traffic, SSL VPN traffic, or we can say global protect traffic, or GRE tunnel packet. Let's suppose our traffic is coming from IPsec tunnels. In that case, what it will do, Now it will needs to basically extract the packet, right? He needs to extract, because in IPsec VPN, your actual header, actual IP, actual packet is encapsulated inside the ESP, right? In case of SSL, or we can say Global Protect VPN, your packet is basically encapsulated inside the UDP 4501 header, right? Because in basically Palo Alto, it's UDP 4501 port number in case of GP traffic. Okay, so if we are having these kind of packets, what it will do in case of IPsec ESP, what it will first check the hash value. After it will basically perform the decryption, and after that basically it will just do the decapsulation. Means now he will get the actual IP header, and he will again put this actual IP header in the ingress stage. Okay, if we have received the SSL VPN traffic, what it will do, it will check the hash value, and it will basically do the decryption, and he will get the actual packet, and he will just put this packet into the ingress process. In case of GRE packet, it will check the hash, and it will perform the decapsulation. So like this, it will basically process the IPsec, SSL VPN, or GRE packets, guys. Okay, after that basically, let's suppose now your packet basically move towards the firewall flow lookup. So let me tell you guys one thing. In Palo Alto firewall, basically it's a stateful firewall. And if we say in stateful firewall, basically we are having session table, right? That session table has been created. So guys, in Palo Alto firewall, we are this session table having the 6 tuples. What are the name of these 6 tuples? We are having source IP address, source port, destination IP address, destination port. TCP, it's like protocol number. We can say it's a layer 3 protocol, and we are having ingress zone. These are the 6 tuples, guys. And what my Palo Alto will do, because he has already extracted that information, right? In ingress stage, you see he has extracted that information from here, right? And what it will do, it will create the flow keys, guys. It will create the flow key. So what it will do, it will just take the source IP, source port, destination IP, destination port, protocol number, and ingress zone. It will just create the hash value, and it will just store that hash value into the flow table. And where it will store this flow table, so it will use, guys, it will use MongoDB database. In backend, it use this particular database where it will basically save this particular key, guys, this particular flow key. And always Palo Alto create 2 types of flow, guys. It will create one flow from client to server, and one flow from server to client. And in basically your firewall, you always have 2 flow keys, guys. And when Palo Alto 5 perform the flow lookup here, so whatever information he has extracted from here, right? What it will do, it will just match the flow key into the flow lookup. So he will just do the query into this MongoDB database. And if he found the basically, if let's say he has found the flow, in that case, this packet go for the fast processing. But if you have seen, it's a TCP SYN packet, right? Means it's a first packet. So in that case, what it will do, there is no flow for this packet. So that packet go for the connection setup state, or we can say session setup state, or slow path, guys. Okay. Now in slow path, basically what it will do. So let me just explain in slow path. So what it will do in slow path, it will just check basically zone protection profile, and basically it will also check the TCP state, right? Sometime what happens, let's suppose in TCP SYN packet, you have received the SYN flag, which is 1, and you have also received ACK flag, which is 1. It's a wrong combination. So in that case, we'll also check the TCP state, guys, here. If you found any kind of anomaly on TCP header, it will drop the packet right away. If my packet is matching the zone protection profile, so according to the configuration, so basically we are having random early drop or discard, it will basically according to this, it will take the action. After that, basically it will send that packet for the IP user cache, guys. or we can say user ID cache, because when we configure this user ID identification on Palo Alto, so it will basically have a IP to user bindings. Okay, so now it will basically check this IP to user binding cache information. Okay, and after that basically it will send this packet for the next check, where it will check the application cache, guys. And this particular application cache, it will check on the basis of destination IP, destination port, and protocol numbers, guys. So why it maintain this particular cache, guys? It will maintain, let's suppose I am having one PC who is accessing Facebook, right? And there is one more system is there, PC2. So now I have just closed the session, and now let's say this PC2 initiate the session right away for this destination IP, this destination port and protocol. In that case, it will identify the application here only. So why we are having these checks here? So due to this check, we are saving the CPU cycles of our firewall. It will not needs to process the packet against your app engine here. Okay, so that's why they have introduced this application cache entry here, guys. So it will maintain this cache information for some time. After that, your packet go for the forwarding lookup. And guys, if you have seen in your actual Palo Alto firewall, the old one, these two things are missing, which I have added, because from where I have get these information, because I used to analyze each and every stream of your Palo Alto, how it will process, from where I will basically get these details. Okay, now let me just move forward the forwarding. Now it will do the forwarding lookup, guys. Forwarding lookup means it will do the lookup into your routing table. Let's suppose I am having policy based forwarding also configured. So guys, what PVF will do, it will bypass your routing table, and we will first match the PVF policy. We can say policy based forwarding table, and we will match this particular policy, and according to this PVF rule, we will take the action. And the main purpose of our firewall to do the lookup into the forwarding table is to just get the egress interface, guys, because by end of the day we have to send the packet from some interface, right? So we need to get that egress interface, and we will do the lookup into our table for doing this particular lookup. Okay, so it will do the in PVF table in case of layer 3 deployment, and your forwarding information base, which is your routing table, right? And in case of layer 2, it will do the lookup into FDB. Okay, so these are the lookup basically which my firewall perform at in your forwarding lookup. After that, basically it will send that traffic if everything good. Let's suppose your packet is dropping here into your routing lookup, right? If your firewall will not found any routes, you will drop the packet here only, and you will not able to see this packet into your logs, guys. Okay, so I'll tell you the ways how we can find out if any packet is dropping at your routing level. Now your packet go for the net policy lookup, where what it will do, it will just do the evaluation. Means let's suppose I'm having 10 net rules on my firewall. What it will do, it will just evaluate the net rule. Let's suppose net rule is matching, which is 2. So what it will do, it will evaluate I'm matching with the net rule 2. That's it. It will not do the translation here. It just evaluate the net rule here, and after it will just move forward. Now here we are having two conditions, guys. If this particular net rule is for source translation, what it will do, in that case it will continue. If let's suppose it has detected the destination net, in case of destination net, it will again do the lookup into the forwarding table, because in case of destination net, your destination IP will change, right? And due to this destination IP change, maybe your egress interface may also change, right? So it will do the lookup again into the forwarding table. Okay, after that, guys, it will just move towards your authentication policy. So in this particular place where we will basically configure our user based policies, If let's suppose we want to, let's say we are having HR department, so we will give the access of like job posting sites to HR peoples. We are having sales department, so to do sales people we will give the access of like all the financial sites, or we can say social networking sites. And we can block like access of access of job posting site to these particular sales peoples, or to HR people we will block the access of media streaming. So these kind of policy we can basically write. So here we can create a user based policy. We can also basically here also, if we are having captive portal based configuration, in that case my firewall just present the captive portal. Okay, all these things basically happens here. After that, basically your firewall move towards your DOS policy, guys. Here it will perform the DOS protection, or we can say policy lookup. It will basically do that lookup on the basis of pre-net IP address and post-net zone. So that's why if you have known, when we configure the rule on Palo Alto firewall, we have to take care of pre-net. We have to use pre-net IP address and services, and we have to use like post-net zone information. So if you want to use the zone information, then we have to calculate the what is the zone after net, and what are the IP address and services which is before net. So we will check basically all these things, and accordingly it will basically perform this. I'll cover how we can write these rules and everything. Don't worry. Okay. After that, basically in DDoS, because we have a lab on DDoS where I will launch the attacks, DDoS attacks from my Kali Linux machine, and we will see how it is basically resolving the problems. Okay. After that, basically it will send that packet for the security policy lookup, where basically it will match your rules now here. What it will do, it will just bypass all the rules who is having application and URL filtering. If we are having any rule with these two details, application or URL filtering base, it will bypass the rules here. Okay. It will only match the rules where we are having application is any and URL category is any. And it will just do the lookup on the rules on the so layer 3 information and layer 4 information, and basically your zones details. And if let's suppose in a rule we are having action which is deny, or we can say drop, in that case it will drop the packet. If we are having action is allowed, then it will basically move forward. And what it will do from here, basically when rule is allowing, what it will do now, it will basically install that details into the session table now. And it will also change the basically state of the connection which is active. Now it will just add one session from client to server and one session from server to client, and the stage of that session is active. Okay, so this is how it will basically process the packets here. And after that, it will just move towards your tunnel inspection policy, or we can say TCI. So if we have configured any kind of tunnel inspection policy, it will match these particular policies, and it will just match, and according to whatever actions we have defined, it will take the actions accordingly. Okay, now now basically till here your silo path has been completed and your now session has been installed into your session table, right? Now what it will do, now it will move forward towards your, so if you see here guys, it has installed the session into the flow table. Okay, now what it will do, it will also check the details, like if your state of session is in discard or free, it will just drop the packet. Otherwise what it will do, it will reset the timeout value of the session, and it will just move forward towards your fast path, or we can say security processing. Now in fast path, what it will do, it will again do the layer 2 to layer 4 processing, right? What it will do, whatever information he has extracted here, now what it will do in layer 2 to layer 4 information, basically in Palo Alto firewall we are having two things. We are having software buffers and we are having hardware buffers. Now whatever information we have extracted, which is layer 3, layer 4, layer 7, what it will do, it will extract that information, it will save these details into these, either in software buffers, either in hardware buffers. Because when we will have that info into these buffers, then only your CPU basically able to process these packets, right? So it will basically just do the layer 2 to layer 4 processing means, and after that, at this particular point of time, he will just apply the net here. So in this particular place, basically it will apply the net. If there is any error, what it will discard the packet, otherwise it will move forward. So net evaluation happens in your slow path, but in actual packet, net applied into this particular stage, guys. Okay. And after that, it will just move forward towards the other checks. So let me just tell you. Now, guys, if you see here, again, it is doing the forwarding lookup here. Why it is doing the forwarding lookup one more time? Because when reply will come, right? So your reply will not go through your slow path. So to get the destination for reply packet, it will do the again lookup into your forwarding table. Okay. Just remember. After that, basically, if our traffic is matched with the SSL decryption, what it will do? Now it needs to basically go for the SSL decryption. And if, let's say, if your application has been identified, if no, then it will go for the app identification here. In app identification, there are multiple things basically available. So I'll just go with fast here, because in actual session, I'll go in detail. So first it will just go with the application override policies. So sometime we will bypass the app ID for like your ICMP traffic or your DNS traffic, right? And also if I in initial, I have mentioned it's a TCP SYN packet, right? And if you see TCP SYN is not having any application data. So generally TCP SYN will not go into your application identification. Okay. But I'm just going with the flow. I'm just telling you how the things is happening in application ID. Okay. So first it will match the application override policies. And after that, basically it will match the application against the signature database. So we can say application database or application signatures. And if application is identified, now it will again do the lookup into your policies. So sometime, let's suppose we have written a rule where we want to block the Facebook, right? So now your Facebook will be blocked here, because now at this particular point of time, your application is identified. After that, basically, if my rule, whatever rule is matching this thing, if it is having any kind of layer 7 features enabled, like any kind of security profiles, what it will do now, basically it needs to send your traffic for the CTD engine. So from here, basically this flag generally triggered. And also, guys, your SSL proxy will also triggered into application identification only, right? Because how my firewall is no, it's a HTTPS traffic or it's a SSL traffic. It needs to do the application identification, right? So here, basically in application identification only, this SSL detection happens actually. If you see here, identify SSL. If yes, then it will basically, if we are having decryption policy, then that packet go for the SSL decryption. If we are not having any policy, SSL decryption, in that case, this packet generally go for your content engine here. Now in content engine, basically what it will do, in this particular place, your actual SP3 engine works. Your actual SP3 engine basically triggered here, and basically your antivirus, anti-spyware, your URL filtering, your data filtering, everything will be processed at this particular level. And also your application shift. Sometime what happens, you know, we are accessing Facebook, right? If we have changed the application to Facebook chat, so this application shift is also detected by the decoders which we are running into your CTD engine or into your content engine. And after that, basically, if there is any thread is detected at this particular level, what it will do, it will discard the packet and your session stage is converted into the discard state right away. After that, basically this packet go for the forwarding processing, guys. If you see here, so let me just take this particular thing here. Okay. Now your packet basically go for the forwarding stage, forwarding processing. Okay. In forwarding processing, let's suppose basically your ARP address resolution, all these things happens here. If we are having IPsec, VPN related traffic or SSL VPN related traffic, then we have to perform the encryption, right? We have to do the encapsulation, all these things basically done at this particular point of time. And after that, your packet will be exit from the wire. So this is how basically your packet processed in your Palo Alto firewall. Okay. Now let me also tell you one more thing, guys. So let me go into my block diagram. Okay. Now guys, let me tell you how basically, let's suppose I am having one machine here. This is client machine having IP address 10.1.1.100. I am having firewall here. And let's say I'm having one server machine here having IP address 151.7.100. Okay. Let's say this is my inside interface. This is my outside interface. Or maybe this is my inside zone, this is my outside zone. Okay, now let's say this machine is trying to access this server, and this server is running web services on port 443. So how the flow is, so what it will do, guys, they will do the flow like this. This particular client machine send the first packet, which is TCP SYN. Let me use this color. Then server basically reply with TCP SYN plus ACK. And after that, he will send the ACK message, right? So till here, basically your TCP connection has been established. And after that, basically what it will do, this client machine will send the client hello message, right? Because this server is hosting their service on 443. So he needs to basically do the SSL handshake as well, right? So they will send client hello, then he will respond with server hello, right? Then he will respond with server certificate, right? Then they will do the client exchange, server hello done, everything will be done. So now, according to this block diagram, how your firewall will going to process the packet. So let's suppose I have received this particular SYN request into my Ethernet 1/1 interface. So what it will do, it will send this packet. It's a TCP SYN packet. It's a first packet. Okay. This packet go to Marble chip, then it will go to Tiger or Liger chip, then it will go to the Octeon chip. And now this chip basically process the packet according to your life of a packet. It will process the packet, it will install the session, and it will just forward this packet through, let's suppose through Ethernet 1/8 interface. Okay, just consider this is my Ethernet 1/8 interface. Now, client with this particular server will also need to respond, right? So he will respond with the SYN plus ACK. So SYN plus ACK will also process this. SYN plus ACK reaches to here, then it will reaches to Octeon engine. Then he will process the packet, and this packet go till here, right? And after he will respond with the ACK message, right? When now again, when he will basically send the next packet, which is client hello. Let me use black color. So this is the client hello packet, right? Now, guys, your client hello packet will go to into Marble chip, then Tiger Liger, then Octeon chip. And guys, when this Octeon chip process the packet, when your app engine processing will come, and your basic and your content engine processing will come, it will send that packet into this particular chip. So guys, in TCP 3-way handshake, these packets will not go into this particular chip. Okay, the client hello, because that hello message is contain some data, and this packet go into your Octeon, or we can say Jaguar chip, for your content identification and application identification. Okay, and also if I'll talk about these things on the process or stage level. So guys, your TCP SYN packet will go with all these stages. And when we will send, like when someone respond with TCP SYN plus ACK, this for ACK message, basically we will completely bypass this slow path. We never send our packet into the slow path again, because we will process the packet on the basis of first path, or we can say session information. Okay. So this is the entire packet flow of your Palo Alto firewall. Now, if I'll go into this particular diagram, guys, if you have seen, there are lots of things are missing here, right? Packet is coming, ingress process there, then error check is there, then they are directly going for BPN traffic. They are processing the BPN traffic, then they are going for the fast path. If session is not matched, they will go into your slow path. And if you see in slow path, basically they are having very limited things here. So let me just go down. In basically slow path, your zone protection check is missing, user ID check is missing, app ID catch is missing, right? They are only showing your forwarding, the net, then firewall policy, your TCI policy processing is missing, right? Your zone policy is missing, or we can say DOS policy is missing, app user ID policy is missing. So these are the missing information which we are having here. So it's not a complete one. That flow is valid for PAN operating system 6.0, guys. It is valid till this one. Okay. So that's why basically I have created that kind of block diagram. And that's why I have explained you. In fast path also they are missing something. So this is, guys, your packet flow of PAN OS. So now these are the things which I want to basically cover with regards to your demo. Now let me, guys, stop the recording and I'll give you the mute permissions to everyone.